welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chloe. I am a second year psychology student at the University of Northampton, and today I decided that I was going to talk you through all the books that I read in February. So if you've seen my January video, I talked through all the books that I read in January. If you haven't, go check that out. But yeah, I decided I was going to do one for February. Hopefully this won't be as long because I did get through just 5 books, which is still a huge achievement, but compared to January, it's a little bit of a decrease, which I'm kind of happy about because I don't have to talk about it for as long. But yeah, let's just get right into talking about the 5 books that I read this month. So the first book that I read was Yellowface, and everyone and their mum has heard about this book because it absolutely blew up, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.25 stars. I actually listened to the audiobook, which I thought was so good. I think it was, 8 hours and 40 minutes it says here, so just under 9 hours, and I did just listen to it like when I was driving to and from uni. So it's basically about these 2 girls, or women I guess, who graduated at the same time from college, and they went into publishing and writing, and they're basically authors, and one of them is a hotshot author, like has published so many books and they're all like bestsellers, and the other one is struggling to get by and just doesn't really know what to do. And in the end, this one that's struggling to get by ends up publishing a book that isn't her own, and I think the synopsis doesn't even give it justice because I went into this book completely blind. I had no idea what it was about. I just knew that people raved about it, hadn't even read like the write-up on this book, and I was blown away. Like I was like, oh my god. I was like, what? I would really recommend kind of going into it that way if you can. But yeah, it's basically this woman trying to be something that she's not, I guess, the whole way through, and it's just so insane. And some of the stuff that like is said, I'm just like, what? Like I was so blown away, but it's so good. I would strongly recommend reading it. It deserves all the hype, put it that way. I want to go and buy the physical copy of this, but I think I want it in paperback. I don't think I want it in hardback, and I haven't actually seen it in paperback yet, so I'm gonna wait for that to come out. I don't know if it's come out yet, but yeah, I think I do definitely want the physical copy of Yellowface on my bookshelf because it's just so good. It deserves every ounce of hype that it actually got. So the second book that I read this month was a children's book. It was Winnie-the-Pooh, because why not? I had to relive a bit of my childhood here. I brought this when I went to 66 Books with some of the girls from work, and yeah, it was good. It just reminded me of my childhood. It was super quick, super short. To be honest though, it did take me longer than I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be super quick, like get through it in a day. It was a bit longer than that. The third book that I read this month was another audiobook, and it was Britney Spears, The Woman in Me, so her like biography I guess, and I was so moved after reading this book. Like I had no idea the things that she went through, and honestly I've never been a huge Britney Spears fan. Like I've listened to a couple of her songs, like I kind of know of her. I don't really follow any of like the news about her or anything, but I wanted to read the book and I did rate it 5 stars. I feel like every memoir and every like kind of biography, anything that's about someone's life, I do tend to rate like 5 stars just because I can't rate that, it's their life. But yeah, so I did really enjoy listening to that, and I think it wasn't, I'm sure this was the one that wasn't read by her. It was read by someone else, I'm fairly certain. She just read kind of the beginning bit, which is completely understandable. After reading some of the things in there and listening to them, I wouldn't want to read that book myself. So yeah, it was really good. I would really recommend to anyone that kind of wants to know more about her life and more about kind of the entertainment industry in general. Yeah. And the next book I rated 4.5 stars, and this was me starting a pretty big series, which I have now finished, thank God. And it is the Twisted series by Anna Huang. Twisted Love. As you can see, I tabbed some of it here. I have never tabbed books before in my life. Don't know what caused me to start, but I did during this. There was a few things that I read that I was like, oh, like that was so sweet, or oh my God. So yeah, I did tab this. Really enjoyed it. 4.5 stars. It is about a billionaire and a girl called, so Ava and Alex are the couple in this book, and the Twisted series basically follows the like all of the friends in Ava's friendship group. This is the first one, and Alex is Ava's brother, like Ava's brother's best friend, and like Josh, the brother, basically says, will you look after her while I go out of town? And he's like, yeah, and then much to his resistance, this whole book happens. And yeah, I feel like the only criticism I have, and I feel like this is the book that wasn't like that as much, all the other Twisted books, I mean, I'll talk about this in another video, but I get like this far through and like that's when they get together. I feel like this one wasn't as much like this. This was my favourite Twisted book. Yeah, really enjoyed this, and I would recommend to anyone over the age of 18. I'm fairly certain there is a content warning in the front of this. If there isn't, there should be. There is not. Is there actually not? That's mad. I mean, she tells her mum to stop reading, which makes sense. But also, you definitely won't be able to see it, but my friend bought me a book stamp. So I've got a book stamp that now says, from the Library of Guyana, which is so exciting. But yeah, so that's the fourth book I read, and the final book I read was another audiobook, and it is You Are Accused. This book was so good. So it was about, the author had been accused of a crime that he didn't commit, and I think has now gone into kind of speaking about that publicly and what that was like for him. And basically he's talking about that in this book, but also there are other people who have been falsely accused, be it in our country, in a different country, anything like that. And the amount of crimes that people have been committed and like accused for that they didn't commit is crazy. And it was basically them talking about the impact of that, the things that it had on his life, like, because everyone finds out, like your family, your work, like it does really affect you. And yeah, it was crazy to hear so many people's experience. And like, even though there was just so many people in that book that spoke about it, there's still so many more people in everyday, like in the world right now, that have been falsely accused. And that's something for me that I find so hard, like in like America, where they still have the death penalty. Like, think of the amount of people that would be being killed when it might not have actually been them that committed the crime. And I think that's so hard to think about. And I think one of these people in the book was sentenced, like was committed in a country that did still have the death penalty. And yeah, they were just like so scared for their life. And there's a bit about the post office scandal in there, because someone had been accused by the post office of swindling some money and stuff like that. And yeah, there's just so many people that speak in this book, and I think it's so much better to hear so many different people's opinions, because it makes you realise like this hasn't just happened to one person, this happens to so many people. Like, our justice system, it's mad that that has happened, and it's affected their whole lives. Like, it's not like they get like the slate wiped clean and like they can go back to their lives the way they were, because people still know. So yeah, I'd really recommend. I gave this 3.75 stars. It was so good. I think it's only out as an audiobook though. I don't think it's out as a physical book. So yeah, I did listen to it and it was so much more moving, I think, listening to it as an audiobook. But yeah, anyway, that's the 5 books that I read this month, and yeah, it was a good reading month. I think all of the books I did really enjoy. So yeah, I am going to leave this video here, but it was great to talk through all the books that I read in February with you, and I will see you again soon for a brand new video. Bye!